Welcome to another episode of Unboxed Creativity. I want to talk a little bit more today about a couple of different things that we haven't really touched on yet, and I think are going to be very important for especially the younger filmmakers that are starting out, and for the people that are not necessarily filmmakers but are creatives who are interested in film and just want to understand a little bit of the process we go through. So we're going to talk about productions, from pre-production to post-production, and then we're going to talk about film festivals specifically, which is something that Emmanuel actually was just saying how important that is. And so we were all like, okay, we definitely should talk about that and share a little bit about our experiences with the public. So let's start with pre-production. I'm going to have Emmanuel start with that because the way I met him was having him on set as really someone dealing more with pre-production. He was kind of like I would say almost the first AD on that first set we worked on together. It was for a short film. And then with time he became, or he showed us, not necessarily he became more creative, but he showed us his creative side more and more to become a cinematographer. Emmanuel, do you want to talk a little bit about that personal story, but also a little bit about pre-production for people to understand what that is, some of the documents maybe that it includes and whatnot?
Mm-hmm. Pre-production is definitely the biggest step, I think, to even doing a project. You can't do anything if you don't have any idea or plan of how to make it work. When you're first starting off, if you want to go shoot something, you can just walk outside with a camera and then see what you get. After, let's say, 10 times of that, you're like, I didn't get the footage I wanted. I didn't get this. I didn't get this emotion. Start realizing it's like, I'm just capturing footage. I'm not telling a story. I'm naturally a very organized guy. I like planning things out. And after the first two, I think I mentioned this before, that one film I did that took 2 or 3 months to shoot because it was very unplanned. And all we did is show up the set with the actors and try shooting it. A 5-minute short film took 2 to 3 months, not every day. It took 1 week, one day out of every 1 to 2 weeks, we'd go shoot it. And it was just awful. It was not a good experience just because there was nothing planned out. That taught me very well that the pre-production side is the biggest thing. When we talk about pre-production, we talk about a shot list. The DP goes in there and creates a shot list, a storyboard, and kind of shows the story visually. A script, you'll be surprised how many people just go shoot something with no script. You don't really need a script depending on what it fully is, but it's always handy to have a script to kind of tell you the beats, the motion. If they're not talking, you can just kind of describe what they're doing, and it gets everyone kind of on the same page. And then call sheets, making sure everyone's on time, making sure the times are correct, and making sure everything goes smoothly. Once I started incorporating that into all my shoots, things started things started going more smoothly. Everyone was kind of on the same page. And then that's when I started meeting Fernando. I came in with a call sheet, with times, with lunch, with this, with that, because
and he won my heart just like that. That's how I was like, all right, I need this guy in my life.
And then we got married. And
it's like, you need me. It's like, hey, baby,
and then on our honeymoon, I realized he doesn't want to do that anymore. He just wants to be a DP. And I'm like, bro, come on.
I married him for his organization skills, but now he doesn't want to do that. Now he wants to film.
Exactly. The moment we got married, he starts showing me his true side, and I'm like, hold on. Dude, people are actually gonna think, oh, maybe they're married, like legit.
So after this divorce,
show the ring.
What's it called? The divorce papers said I have to schedule his lunch and breakfast still. So his schedule is what I write from the week before. But scheduling, it's like the biggest thing that as a DP I want to be doing on set is not thinking about the times and not thinking about the different aspects of what do I have to do in this amount of time, or what's next, or what's this. I write everything down beforehand. So all these creativity, all these shots I've had them in a creativity mindset in, let's say, a week ago, a month ago, maybe even a couple months ago. I was creative at that time, and I kind of knew what the script was, and I created that. So once I'm on set, I trust the old creativity that I had before, and then I use that to improve the shots and what I want to do instead of creating everything on the spot. And then, you kind of work with your previous self in the past and what they set up to help you make the shoot way faster and more efficient.
I love that. I love everything you said, and I do want to say that the shoots that don't require a script are called unscripted, literally because of the importance of having a script. So if you're going to do something unscripted, like a documentary, which I'm going to have Val talk a little bit about because she is really good at that stuff, that's when you don't need a script. Other than that, usually you're going to have to really plan as much as you can in pre-production. I'm not saying there's no planning in documentaries. There's a lot of planning that goes into that, but you don't have actual lines delivered by different actors, by different characters. You don't really plan for the specific movements that you want a character to make on a scene, and that's what a script really does. And then, like Emmanuel was saying, the call sheets, the other documents that go with that are going to really help make sure that everything runs smoothly, but also that everyone's on set on time, because that's another big thing. Just, little things within that are things like the location of a hospital. So like, what's the nearest hospital to a certain location where you're filming? So those are like more security things or safety things. But yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. If we really were to go deeper into the details, it's a lot of stuff. Val, if you can talk a little bit about documentary and how the pre-production goes for that compared to a short film or a commercial.
Yeah, so in my opinion, like pre-production is that super, super obnoxious and annoying. Like I used to have like this mentality about it, like, oh my God, it's so much work. But once it's well done, you are in set and you're like really doing the thing you should be doing. Like when you don't plan for it, you're worrying about other stuff, and then that takes you out of your mindset and the things you should be doing when the times for production comes. So now I totally changed my mind about whether I'm good or not of doing pre-production. I feel like that started with actually doing the job, and I am organized with my stuff. Like I never miss like due dates, and like I like to keep everything till like everything under control. And I just feel like it's something that I cannot deal with it. It's like, being in a mess. So I cannot control that on my personal level. But then when it comes to pre-production for a documentary, it's like kind of like life type of planning for, like you have an overarch idea, and all the pre-production stages is more to get the people invited and the people in the same mindset and get to know your vision, what do you want to achieve in the story, and all of that takes a lot of like communication. And then of course depends of which story you're aiming to tell. The scheduling is extremely hard because they're normal people, they're doing their thing, and it's just like it's a part that is super important, which is getting everyone to work out. People get sick when they're not an actress, that's not their priority. And like you also need to dig in more the storytelling and reach that person. So I feel like pre-production for documentary is a lot of like communication skills, and then like on top of that, story can be very open-ended in the way you like tie the story together, but you like when I'm doing the pre-production for at least the past two, no, actually from the beginning, all my my documentaries, I had this time to write down all the questions and make sure I'm going somewhere with them, and then consult with the person I'm going to be interviewing to have a prior idea of what we're going to be talking. Because like sometimes, I mean, again, they're not actors, they're not natural on camera, so they can get nervous, they can get, you know, like so many ideas and not really get the message across. So that's what you do. And you write questions and you show them, and then they pick if that's an actual fit for their story, and you know that it comes way more. You don't get to write down a script where they open the door, sit in the right corner and say these 3 lines, but you also start building the b-roll as a script, you know, like what part should I add stuff to not have just talking heads and things like that. So that all exists from pre-production, really.
I want to add something to that before you jump into the shot list things, Emmanuel. I used to think that the scripts were very specific things that you write down that you need the actors to do, and I used to think that directing was making actors do exactly what you want them to do, making them deliver a line exactly how you want it and do a certain movement exactly how you want it. So I want to separate it into 2 things. If you're doing a commercial, then yes, you need some very specific directing, because for instance, if it's a Coca-Cola commercial and you know the girl has to drink it and you have to see the logo and she has to drink it slowly and then she has to, like, you know, breathe because she is enjoying that. That's very specific direction.
It's very specific, yeah.
Yeah, and that's something we call results-oriented direction. And that is not what you want to do with film. With film, I don't want to say it's like a documentary, but I do want to say it's more towards that, in the sense that you make sure you get the right actor for the right film, and they have to play that specific character really well. So the casting is very important. But the moment that they read it, they will interpret what's on the page and they will deliver it their own way. And you don't want to give them result-oriented direction. You don't want them to tell exactly where you need them to look and how you want them to point. No, that's interpretation. You give them direction, but you let them interpret that scene.
Yeah,
So
I think best
I
actors are the ones that, you know, can make your idea as a director even better with their acting, really.
Exactly, but a lot of people don't understand that, and a lot of people just don't know that. A lot of directors, I feel like they just don't understand that, really. But a lot of people don't know that the actor brings so much to the table. The actor really brings the performance, and the director is just going to help drive that story through. And in that way, it is closer to a documentary than what I originally thought it was, and then a lot of people think it is. Emmanuel, do you want to talk a little bit about the shot list aspect and how, you know, that plays a role, and if there are differences between your process for a commercial and a film, let us know.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is, like you said, like a film is like you're capturing a story. So when you sit in there, you're creating a shot list, reading the script, and really seeing how you can capture that story in those specific shots. There's a little bit more creative freedom because you can go in there. I mean, depending on, you know, how strict the director is, but you know, you have more creative freedom of being able to tell the story visually and capture that emotion. That kind of works with a lot of, you know, documentaries, commercials, stuff like that. But a film is gives you that creative freedom to play with the colors, play with the emotions, play with the framing, play with the aspect ratio, and you can kind of go in depth and really see what you're trying to capture from that page. Every time I go through my shot list, I put so much information. I put the size of the shot, I put the angle, I put the millimeter size, I put location, I put the times it takes for each shot, and then it kind of helps you get a real perspective. How long is this shoot gonna be? Without that, you'd be like, oh, this shoot could be 5 hours, this shoot could be 20 hours, who knows? Now you know how long everything takes, the setup time for each shot. Lighting will change between shots. Now for a commercial, depending on the client, you have to kind of stick with their look. You have to stick with the style they want to shoot. There isn't as many, vintage or super creative takes you can get from like let's say a car commercial that wants to make everything look super nice, super sharp, super modern. Obviously each commercial changes, but once you get a client and once that client has a specific look, you have to merge your type of cinematography to that, and you have to create the shot list that reflects the way they want to represent either their product, their service, or whatever they're trying to show the audience. So with that, you, instead of really trying to tell the perfect story visually, you're trying to sell their product or service, or show what the product and service is through their shots. Kind of like Fernando mentioned before, a girl drinking a bottle. That's, if it's a product shoot, you'll do a close up on that bottle and kind of capture what she's drinking. Instead of maybe a cinematography shot, if you're really just focusing on her drinking water, you just focus on the full shot of her drinking water. These are all different things that you have to think about when you're doing these different projects. They are very similar, but those small little differences can help the client sell their product, can help the client get more money out of the video you're providing them.
What kind of things do you write in that shot list? Like the types of shots, the movement, the action. What do you usually put there? Do you put photos? Like, talk a little bit about that.
So when I first started, I used to do a lot of storyboarding. I'm very bad at drawing, and I'm very bad at Photoshop. AI is a new thing now. I know a lot of people use AI for their shot lists. I might start using that soon, but I usually go around and I get a screenshot of similar aspects and similar things that we want to do. Or if not, I just get photos. So in my shot list, instead of making a storyboard and a shot list, I have a shot list that talks about what number it is, what time of day it's going to be shot, what the order it's going to be shot in, the framing of the shot, the type of camera we're going to be using, the type of movement, the type, gimbal, static, slider. You go in there, you get the picture you want, you take a picture or you get a screenshot and you put it on there. And then you also put the setup time for each shot. Let's say it's the first shot of the day, it's going to take at least an hour, maybe 2 hours to set up the lighting. Those shots afterwards might take 10, 15 minutes depending, how much you have to move that lighting. You go in depth with how long each process takes, and then you put exactly what everything is going to be. You have to put, depending on who's going to be seeing the shot list, you have to put information that you don't necessarily need, but someone looking at it from the outside perspective will have to read and look and really understand, okay, the DP needs this amount of time for this specific shot. And this is why we need this shot, because this shot is connected to this part of the script. And it kind of tells a story in a different manner. It's kind of like a transcript of the script, but in video format. And having that all laid out, especially with a big crew, can help people understand how many shots, the length of each shot, what's it going to take, how many people are needed, and it makes the process flow faster.
I want to use a real world example. So you guys are going to be on set for the SDOC shoot on the 1st, and there's a couple things I saw in the shot list that I was about to tell you. So I'm going to figure out the actual address for those locations, and then what I'm going to want you to do is add the address there, so that the same document is going to be the call sheet and the shot list. So I'm going to send you the two addresses, and I'm going to want you to put it on the right order. So filming at the house first, and then at the health center. Yeah. So that is like on the right order. And then, I really like that, so that we're able to kind of merge a storyboard with a shot list, with the call sheet, all into one document, and you bring that to set, and you kind of have everything. Of course, if it's a film and it's something longer, you don't want to always do that. But in this case, it's only a couple of locations, it's only a few shots, so we're able to kind of merge all those documents into one. So let's talk a little bit about production then. So like I was saying, I'm going to have Emmanuel do a couple of... So you guys saw it live. You saw the director talking to the DP about a couple of corrections that have to be made to a call sheet, or things that have to be added to that call sheet / shot list. So that's awesome how we're able to like really show real world examples to you. English, it's not an easy language. Anyways, going back to what we were saying. So I think the next thing would be production. So from the director's perspective, I'm going to give my side, and then I'm going to have Emmanuel jump in again. And then later we're going to have Val talk about post-production. And after that, we're going to talk about festivals. All right. So the director's side, like I said, you kind of have to have that broader overarching look of the big picture and understand where the story is and what the goals are for each scene, each character, or if it's a commercial, for that commercial as a whole, which usually it's a 30-second piece or a 1 minute, or if it's a brand film, couple minutes long. So it's definitely way shorter than even a short film would be, because a short film would usually start around 5 minutes. Usually it's around 10, 12, 15, 20 minutes long. So it's a whole different length really of script, and usually you take more days to shoot that. But when it comes to the production, then you need to bring all of those documents to set, and you kind of have to have all those positions assigned for the cast, which are the actors, and the crew, which are the people that are behind the camera. And that crew is going to include, like we're talking about here multiple times, DP, the director of photography. It's going to have the gaffer, the grip, sound mixer or boom op. So the boom operator, the guy that holds that microphone to follow the actors around and capture the best sound quality that you can on set, which is very important too, because the visuals alone only go, a certain way, but then you need a little more added to that, which is the sound, which is a huge part of the film.
Yeah.
And then a few more things that you can have on set. Emmanuel, do you want to talk a little bit more about like the AD and whatnot, the camera operator, camera assistant?
Yeah, there's so many roles into a set. It's wild how when you watch a movie as a kid, you don't realize all these names are a part of this production. But when you go on set, especially to make the set work, you have the AD. AD always helps the director, with the directing, with the acting, maybe smaller roles, kind of like the extras or the people that aren't the main characters get directed by the AD. And then specific roles of the AD would also be making sure time goes well, making sure time goes fast, making sure everything's on time. Producers always on set, making sure nothing catches on fire, nothing explodes. The logistical assistant of production sets and making sure no one.
Unless it's Oppenheimer, then he's there to make sure everything explodes.
Yeah, he's there to make sure there's a huge explosion and make sure my friend next to me that was sleeping during the movie would wake up. But yeah, super important. These small little positions that you don't really think about. AC is a camera assistant. First AC, second AC, even third AC, depending on how big the shoot is. Camera assistants. The TP might not always be holding the camera, might not always be wanting to swap out the lenses, depending on how the shoot is. There's an AC that swaps out the lenses, that does the focus pull, and all the other ACs kind of add on to that, depending on how many there are and how many roles are split up.
Even under the gaffer and grip departments, where the grip is the person that really is bringing things around. Yeah, the best boy grip, and then you have like exactly.
Yeah.
So you keep going under that line of different duties within that job.
So the post-production is something that I used to do a lot. Post-production, the whole editing process, the whole making the movie. You don't really make the movie until you have all the footage. You have all the clips, you have all the sound, you have everything kind of finalized. But the editing process does take a big portion of the actual production. You go in there, depending on how the shoot is, depending on how everything works out, you have the director come on and kind of view the editing process. You have an editor, you have a color grader, you have a sound designer, you have a composer, assistant editors, just depending on how big the project is. We've done shoots where the director is the editor. We've done shoots where the director and editor don't even meet. We have, shoots that there's 5 layers into who's working on these projects. The different roles could be, editor, editor's assistant, color grader, someone that does color correction as well, depending, how many people there are into it. special
A
effects.
VFX person, yeah, exactly. I was going to go into that because, like, there's a big thing now with animations and motion graphics. So those are like the movements and the animations that happen to graphics within a video, or just the visual effects themselves. So that can be one or two different people, or if it's a Marvel movie or an animated film, it's hundreds, thousands of people involved.
It's everyone. That's more than the production itself. A good amount of
Exactly.
times. Yeah, there's so many layers into this, and I'm happy that I try not to do it myself, because that's always a headache. It's crazy because like the editor, like I said before, he makes the actual movie because he has the puzzles. He puts the puzzles together. So if you're watching a movie and you're like, wow, it looks great, but something's off about it. You know, the pacing's weird or this is weird. It's the editor's fault. No, I'm playing. No, but it's a lot of responsibility. It's a lot of responsibility being the editor and kind of making sure that the script and the emotions of the script can be portrayed sometimes weeks after, sometimes even a year or two after, and making that edit happen and making it take place.
That's a really good point. Sometimes you're watching a movie and you don't quite realize what, especially if you don't have what Scorsese calls the visual literacy, which is basically being used to watching so many films and understanding storytelling. Some people have that, some people don't, especially people that are not in the industry. Just doesn't come to them as naturally. So it's harder to understand, why is this film weird? And a lot of times, like Emmanuel said, it could be the editing, just the flow is weird and the way these shots or scenes are put together. So it's a huge responsibility. So the next thing after you're done with your film, when we're talking about films specifically, of course, post-production is different from commercials and films in the sense that a commercial is going to go on a platform like social media, or it can go on TV. And that's one kind of post-production or distribution process, and we're going to talk about that on a different video. But today we're going to talk a little bit about the festival, the film festival circuit, which is what happens after you're done with the post-production on your film, which is what we were talking about. So when it comes to that, pretty much a platform that we've been using a lot is called filmfreeway.com. Film Freeway gives you access to a bunch of different festivals. By the way, we're not sponsored by them, but hey guys, if you want to give us a sponsorship, right? So that would be great. But it is a platform where you're going to find a lot of different international film festivals. And then getting selected to an international film festival or winning an award at an international film festival is one of the most important things for us as filmmakers. I do want to start with one specific experience we've had together. The first one that Val was not involved in, and then the second one that she was involved in. So the first one was OIF. We talked a little bit about that before. It's called the Orlando Independent Filmmakers. We won the awards of Best Cinematography, which Emmanuel got that one. And we won Best Production Design. Best Production Design was for Brooke, and we're definitely going to have her come in on our next episode, and we're going to interview her. And then we also got, and it was for her and for Shannon. Shannon also did a great job in that film. And we also got Best Editing for yours truly, Fernando Tozzetti. So that was a nice experience. That was really, really, really cool. And it kind of got us started into that, okay, we want to make films for those festivals to win those awards. And we met a bunch of people there. We talked about how we met Corey, which then we worked on with The Blue Room. He was the lead actor in that. And then Val was the gaffer on that film. And we went to another multiple film festivals with that movie. So, Emmanuel, do you want to talk a little bit about that? I guess the different festivals and how that works. And then Val, if you want to give us your perspective as well. And then the Orlando Film Festival, Val, if you want to talk about that too, because that was really nice.
Yeah, you guys heard it here, guys. We're award-winning filmmakers. Wow.
Yay!
Some claps in the back. Film festivals are a funny thing, right? You make something, and the biggest thing is like you want it to have people, you want it to have it seen. Back then, before the internet, that was probably the only way to have it, seen by a large audience. Now a lot of people, they also put it on YouTube as well. I have some of my short films on YouTube. But yeah, the film festival circuit, going into that and getting that process. I feel like if once you make your first film, you're just kind of learning all these aspects. You're like, oh, now I have to do the pre-production. You write a script, you write a story. Oh, now I have to go and shoot it. You're getting actors and making the production of it. Now I have to edit it and make music. And then once you're done, you're like, well, where do I put it? The biggest thing, if you're ever making your first movie, just go to your local film festivals and just kind of submit it and then see where that goes. It's a great experience for the first couple times you're going, because you're going and you're meeting people that are doing the same thing. And it's a great place to kind of network and connect with people that are, either in your same level or sometimes years ahead. And you can learn all these aspects. I forgot which one it was, but me and Fernando talked to this guy for hours on his film, on one of our previous film festivals, because he's been doing it for so many years. And now he figured out a formula where he can sell his short films. And we're so proud and interested in seeing that aspect of, wow, we're over here making films with no budget. And this guy's making films with so much money and then getting paid for it. It's a very, not everyone could do that. Short films are very, I would say, if you do it the right way, you can get paid for it. If not, then I guess you're just putting money into your passion, which
For the books.
yeah, which is never a bad thing. Like you're making something you like, you're making art,
Wow.
And that can always go a long way.
And it's a challenge
Yeah,
to make a story short, to be honest. Like,
I feel like it's always especially if you have a great team together, you get together and you make something fun, creative, and enjoyable. But yeah, once you go to the film festival circuit, you have to put some money in and see, depending on how much, a couple $100, maybe even $1,000. A little intimidating, I know, for your first time, but you go in there, you put your stuff in, and then yeah, just go and you meet people. Like, see as many movies as you can. Absorb the good films, absorb the bad films. Talk to the people who made all the films, and then you can, kind of like us, you can meet long life friends. You can meet people you make films with. You can meet people that will hire you for films. It's a great networking place if you really want to push that, narrative work aspect. If you really want to keep doing short films, if you really want to keep doing feature films. For us, we've kind of slowly moved to the aspect of, commercial work. We don't really put our commercials, on festival circuits. They're not really that much of a narrative that tells like an end-up story. But I think that was one of the biggest steps, and I think all of our careers is going there and doing that festival run and meeting all these people and networking with all these people and kind of doing that. And we're still doing it with our most recent film, Roadside Assistance. We put in a lot of film festivals, and hopefully we get to go to at least a majority of them and then meet people and network with people. Me and Val went to LA for 2 film festivals over there, and we networked with a bunch of people from LA. So it's like, you never know who you're gonna connect with and who you're gonna go a long way with. But it's definitely a lot of work.
yeah, literally, it is. You don't think the reach you can have because you're afraid they don't select you or your film is not good enough. But first of all, you need to feel very proud of what you submitted. If you feel like a little bit not too, like, it's gonna be hard for you to pull up that energy when you have Q&As and you talk about how proud of the process you are, So that is like one of the first things I will think of if you're trying to get your first film out there. It's like you have to believe in yourself. And I tell you because, like, when I submitted for those in LA, I mean, we had the best time. It's LA. We had the greet and meet and free drinks, and everything is so fun. Everybody's so happy. But that was the first one I submitted for ink therapy, and I was like, I actually had no expectations of even getting selected because I'm like, I was in LA at the moment, and I always like to just do these things. It's like I was just chilling in the house, and then I'm like, let me apply to this, and then if it doesn't happen, I don't care. But low-key, I care so much. I was so nervous. I was like, I apply, I'm like, oh, let me close this. Went for a walk, and then, I don't know, like a week after, I received this, oh, you've been selected. And then a few days after, oh, you won awards. And then there were not only one award, but four in like different two film festivals. And I'm like, one of them was like best female first director, and I felt really proud of that. So imagine how proud I felt of my project. So when I start networking, which is something I prepare for, like I make sure I had my profile and like a little business card that is this the touchless thing that people just can scan the QR and they'll pop up your info. And everybody was so happy about me having that card. So that way to start a conversation with other filmmakers is kind of cool, and then it can take you to places you never thought of. So I feel like the film festival start with like being brave, and then when you're there, whether you win an award or just a nomination or just being selected, it's just a chance to be around amazing people, like younger, older people that will just give you perspective and inspire you. So
I think, I don't know where I heard this quote. I heard this quote somewhere, but I heard it goes like, the biggest sin as a filmmaker is not showing your film to the world. Don't make a project and then, even if you're not super proud of it, show it to somebody. Show it to your neighbor, show it to your best friend, show it to a random person on the bus. Show your work, because that's how you grow. Even if it's complete trash, like a lot of our first short films were, you have to show it. You have to show the passion. And as a creative, you're super critical of yourself. A lot of us are. But it's just kind of showing the passion of what you have, and I think that goes a longer way than the actual final product. And then you grow that skill. That final product gets better and better, and hopefully that passion stays the same. Hopefully your passion doesn't go away. But yeah, it's the fun aspect of creating great projects and meeting great people and having a good time, and just kind of enjoying the moment as each step goes. The pre-production, the production, post-production, and the film festival circuit.
And also, how do you feel, Fernando, when you saw the first time Blue Room in a big screen like Orlando Film Festival? Wasn't it crazy? Like, to me, that big screen was, like you normally have like even projections, they're not that big, but we were talking about a whole theater with a huge screen. I was nervous of the sound and everything, and then when I saw it so perfect, I was like, got goosebumps. Like if I was just a person who would walk in and watch any movie, you know what I mean?
It was so amazing, and then the audio was distinct, and then we're like, no!
To me, I think everything you guys said is important. So I think it's like three different things. One thing is as a director or as a professional in the film industry in general, but especially as a director, like watching your film come to life, right? It's not your film as a director, like it's everyone that's involved in the process, but watching that baby that you had from the beginning and you were taking care of it, and it was just a small idea and you wasn't sure about what it was going to become. And then now it's on a big screen, like a legit theater. So if you're going to find festivals too, look for festivals that have legit screenings at actual theaters. And like Emmanuel said, places you can actually go to in person. So those are my two other things. Having fun at it, I think it's really just a great experience in and of itself. Not with a goal like, hey, I'm going to get out of here with a distribution deal, or I'm going to come out of here and I'm going to meet 10 different people and 5 of them are going to become clients. Like, yes, go prepared, which is a third thing. It can lead to actual, future bigger projects that you can actually make money with. But here's the thing, don't get caught up in that. So like Val said, go in ready, have your business card, have your information, have your social media, your portfolio ready online, and be proud to present your film and talk about it. So yes, have all of that, but also have fun in the process. So like Emmanuel said, find festivals that you can actually attend, or that at least someone from your crew can go and represent. So for me, I'm in Brazil right now. Some festivals I'm finding are here, some festivals are in the US. I'm gonna at least find something that somebody from the crew can go to, attend, and have a good time there and elaborate and meet new people. I think that's a big part of it. So it's having fun with it. It's a fun thing to do. and
I think it's too fun.
yeah, it is. It's one of the best things, honestly, for me in the last couple of years. It has been really the greatest time. Everyone that's there loves film. You can bring your friends, you can bring people from work, whatever it is, your family. And I think that the whole goal when you're making a film is to show it there in a big screen. And like Val was saying, the sound, the footage, everything is a whole different experience if you're showing it on a legit screen. And that's even why Christopher Nolan wanted to shoot Oppenheimer for IMAX specifically. He didn't want to do it for any other types of screenings, and he doesn't want to do it for VOD, like, you know, Netflix or HBO Max. He wanted to do it for the theaters, for IMAX, because it's a different experience. The sound, the footage, the visuals, everything.
No, definitely, it's an experience that shaped you. Like, I remember, I'll say that my first film was Ink Therapy, but I've been part of, like, whether I'm part of a crew or this random story that I'm gonna do shouts out to Javad, which is a friend who I met through Instagram in 2018. Yeah, I was like just almost got here, and he had a movie played for the International Orlando Film Festival, and he contacted me and he's like, hey, for a chance you're close by this thing, and he's like, and I'm like, yeah, sure. He's like, would you like to represent my movie? And I was like, what? And he made me watch and like write some stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I'm down. And he signed me up like I was actually part of it. So I studied the whole film, and I was the one representing, and he was the whole thing of me going there is like let people know that he is from Iran, and he wasn't able to get the visa to go there, but his movie was really famous in the U.S. Film festival circuit. So I had to just stand in front of the crowd and answer the questions that the people had, and then I was like, yeah, unfortunately this guy wasn't here because of this and that, and everyone's attention shift. They were like, oh my God, people came to me and hugged me, and I was like, it felt so, to me it was like, whoa, I always dream of being part of a film festival, but I'm not part of this one, but I'm like kind of doing being a communicator of this director and now friend of mine, and I was like, this is unreal. And then just 4 years after, I'll be doing the same thing but representing my own movie, and I was like, whoa, I'm back here, you know, like something that I really enjoyed in the past, really. And I was like, well, yeah, this is a good time regardless. So even when I was not part of like the actual production for that movie, I felt pretty good communicating everyone that this guy, you know, had this idea and stuff like that.
So it's like the story went full circle for you. Like it kind of started with you just not even being part of the project, and then it ended up with you like showing your film there. So I think that's huge. Thank you guys for watching, and make sure you subscribe to the channel, leave your likes and comments, and follow us on social media, TikTok, Instagram, and wherever else it takes us. Thank you guys, stay tuned.
And feel free to guys to put some topics, some questions, anything you guys want to hear from us. We'd love to talk to you guys, talk to the audience, and kind of grow a community, kind of grow a team of passionate filmmakers.
And creatives from other fields as well. You're more than welcome.